Black Power, Black Beauty, Black by popular demand. This is Black's History Month, a 28-day celebration of Black exploitation films. Now, this is the type of foolishness that I like to get into. The Thing with Two Heads sounds like a B-monster movie from the 50s, and in many ways, it is. I like when blaxploitation movies don't take themselves too seriously. We can only take so much drama. The Thing with Two Heads was marketed as a horror and a comedy, but it's neither of those in my opinion, at least not intentionally. I don't know what it is really. Maybe science fiction? It's actually not even the first movie to market itself on the premise of a two-headed monster, since another movie called The Incredible Two-Headed Transplant came out a year prior and sometimes gets confused with The Thing with Two Heads, since they share similar names and effects. The Thing with Two Heads is definitely the better movie though. At first you may think it doesn't even qualify as a blaxploitation movie, and you find yourself asking, where's the blacks? But give it time. The story goes like this. Dr. Maxwell Kirshner, played by Ray Milland, is a surgeon with a terminal illness. Don't feel sorry for him though, because he's a massive bigot, which he puts on full display when he discovers that another brilliant doctor, a Dr. Fred Williams, played by Don Marshall, just happens to be a Negro.
Why is it you people always put yourself in a position where you don't fit?
Max, it's not necessary.
They just let you kind do anything these days, huh? Damn DEI. He comes up with a procedure to transfer a living ape's head onto another living ape's body, but in a way where they both survive, at least for a little while. And why is he doing this? Because he's selfish and can't just die like a good little racist. He doesn't want his cancer to be the end of his story and wants to live on in another younger body. He eventually successfully removes one of the ape's heads, the old one, and manages to keep the surgically added head alive. That's all he needs to get the go-ahead to try it on himself. It's just one small problem. He doesn't have a body. You didn't think he was going to try to put his head on the ape's body, did you? I actually think it's pretty clever how they rectify this. Instead of doing something a horror movie would usually do, like kidnap somebody and force the experiment on them, they try to take an immoral act and inject some morality into it by going to the local prison and giving death row inmates the choice of either the electric chair or the experiment that will cause certain death after 30 days. I'm saying, if you know you're going to die anyway, which one will you choose? It's a pretty good question. Surprisingly, nobody takes them up on the offer, at least not at first. And I would have loved to hear the different variations on the hell no's they received when they asked. At the last minute, I mean the very last minute, like literally while in the chair, prisoner Jack Moss volunteers to go through the experiment. I guess realizing that he won't get a last minute stay. Boy, you better be glad this is a movie, because in real life, you would have been fried, died, and laid to the side. But anyway, old Jack claims he's innocent, and he figures if he goes through the procedure, which he knows nothing about, it will at least buy him some time to prove his innocence. And if you haven't noticed, old Jack is big and black. I love this premise. A big racist is forced to be attached to a big black man, and there's nothing he can do about it. I figured we'd at least get an odd couple type of journey where Dr. Kirshner learns to be a better man while being forced to tag along while Jack proves his innocence. But it feels like the filmmakers didn't know what they had and didn't know what to do with the interesting concept. Once the two-headed monster escapes, for whatever reason, the movie turns into a demolition derby. I kid you not, a straight up 30-minute chase sequence ensues where they destroy, and I looked this up, 14 police cars. It's like they felt like they had a decision to make. Yes, we know we need to come up with a good story and a satisfying plot, but they gave us 14 cars, bro. We gotta do something with them. This lengthy turn of events fails the movie, but somehow, some way, they pull the nose up in the end and deliver a satisfying conclusion, which I won't spoil here. The movie itself isn't really funny or scary, but I do like the back and forth between Jack and Dr. Kirshner.
You mean you're actually considering helping this escaped murderer?
Murderer? You the murderer trying to cut off my head?
That's different.
Funny how it becomes different when you're talking about your own head.
And it must be praised for its effects, which were kind of ahead of its time. The two-headed man isn't necessarily groundbreaking, but it doesn't look as bad as you might imagine. Rosie Greer, who plays Jack Moss, was a giant of a man, and a former football player, so his large frame came in handy when they had to hide Ray Milland behind him to pull off scenes where both heads had to act. And even in scenes where both guys can't be in the same body, the fake prop heads look great for the time period. Keep in mind, this is 1972. Blaxploitation movies just didn't have the budget for effects like this. The quality of the effects might have a lot to do with the man who made the effects, since it's none other than award-winning effects artist Rick Baker. This was the second film he worked on, and he's done makeup for a ton of great films. Way too many to name, but a few include Coming to America, The Nutty Professor, Men in Black, Norbit, and Life. The man is a legend, and it's cool seeing that even early in his career, he was doing incredible work, probably way past his pay grade. Even though uncredited, he also plays the ape in the beginning of the film. You didn't think that was a real monkey, did you? The Thing with Two Heads is a fun little movie that presents some serious questions about morality. And even though the middle is straight up brain dead action, it can be forgiven because at least it nails its ending and keeps you invested and entertained all the way through. In the case of this movie, two heads are better than one.